I'm Gabriel Fidel from the Back Pew Revival, and when I'm not brushing RJ Paxton's mullet, I'm listening to the Garrett Smith podcast.
And we survived the first episode without getting canceled, so here to correct that mistake is Mr. Gabe Fidel from Back Pew Revival. How's it going, buddy?
It's pretty good, man. How you doing?
Going great. Just before the program, Gabe and I were talking about some of the items we were and we're not going to discuss on this show. And what cracks me up, and this is not an April Fool's joke, you'll notice we are filming April 1st, but you have my solemn word that I am not going to April Fool's any of you today because we've had enough of that in the world. O.J. Simpson got on Twitter today and filmed a little video saying that he believes that Carol killed her husband. O.J. Simpson. For those of you Gen Z people, I think there's another Netflix documentary about that, which is all you need to know. O.J. Simpson, the juice. And I don't know. We've already started off with O.J. and Carol, and so it's going to be a good time. But I told Gabe when we were discussing topics, I said, there are certain people I would beg to be on this program, and I don't even care what we talk about. Like if Kevin Fowler wanted to get on here and talk Teletubbies, I'd be like, which one? Which color Teletubby are we going to discuss today? And I'm trying to picture Kevin Fowler talking like, well, howdy, y'all. We're going to talk about the purple one.
Right. Well, can we talk about Teletubbies? Or
if that's what's on your heart, I'm all ears. Who's your favorite Teletubby?
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can only imagine your living room conversations are as weird in quarantine as what is going on here. At least I hope. I hope we're not the only weirdos out there.
I really hope so, too.
So, with that in mind, what have you been up to lately? Because as the Corona-geddon reigns for day number whatever we're on, 20 or something?
Yeah.
I never even know what day of the week it is.
December?
Febtober.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Febtober. For any SNL Sean Connery fans out there.
What was that? Septober? Is that what you said?
Febtober. I believe it was a Celebrity Jeopardy where it's like months that end in Tober. And Sean Connery rings and he's like, Febtober.
Febtober. I don't like that. That makes me nervous.
I will refrain from talking like Sean Connery at you.
Well, what have I been up to? I mean, nothing. We can't do much. We're all out of gigs and work, and there's not much else I can really say.
Well, we did have a good time on the live stream the other night. Thank you for letting me wreck that. I had a good time.
Oh yeah. You can wreck anything anytime you like to. As long as I'm holding it, you can wreck it.
Moving right along. Gabe is getting married soon. And so some people who are married would tell you you've already been practicing social distancing.
Funny thing is, on my calendar, the date of my wedding is actually marked by a crying emoji.
Tears of joy. If your fiance is listening to this, tears of joy.
Oh no, I've openly explained what I would define as captivity, and I had a great laugh at it as I was running away, dodging her shoes.
Well, I'm glad you survived just long enough to make it through 5 minutes of this podcast. And if we've made it 5 minutes in and people haven't dropped off yet, I think we're doing all right. So you've obviously got some songs you've been working on. Definitely want to jump into that. Tell us about Back Pew and what you've got going on. I know obviously there's been kind of a pause button with coronavirus going on, but before the coronavirus and as soon as coronavirus is over, kind of tell us what you've been working on.
Well, before the coronavirus, the Back Pew, me and the guys, we've been together for a while now, and we've been playing different spots here around Corpus and Port A, Rockport. Here recently, within the past few months or so, we started getting up into San Antonio and Seguin area, and so that was an exciting little jump. And there's a lot of great musicians out there, and I'm just real happy to have been able to meet up with these guys. And we're all local too, so we're not too far away. One of one of the guys, Chris, our keyboard player, he actually lives like less than 2 minutes away from me.
Oh, wow.
So I can just walk outside and give a good holler, and he'll just come and be like, "What's up?"
So you can dog whistle and your band shows up?
More like yeah, pretty much. I couldn't come up with anything funnier than that.
So a year from now, we're going to see a Netflix documentary called The Band Member King, and it's going to be Gabe keeping his band members in cages. It's like, I just like them to be accessible.
Wow. And then RJ's going to be having himself a big band member sanctuary, and he already he fed some DJs to live musicians.
For those of you who didn't catch the first episode, we had RJ Paxton on here, and he liked to talk about how he was growing a mullet. So maybe he would be the Joe Exotic of Corpus musicians.
Whoa. Yes. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even make that connection.
I would like to assure the listeners that not every guest we have on here is going to take us down the weird rabbit hole, but it's just the effect of having Gabe Fidel and Garrett Smith in the room. Speaking of,
oh yeah,
last time I played a gig in Corpus, because my recent trip to the coast was Port A, but it was right before or right after Christmas? I think it was right before.
I think it
was the 22nd or something like that. So it was right before Christmas, and went to the Blue Marlin Saloon, and the weather was not great, and so the crowd outdoors kind of diminished, but we set up anyway. And
the funny thing was, before you got there, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was there. We set up, and then we all met up there later. And before you got there, me and Frank, our fiddle player, we got there and we were like, what's the weather going to be like? I think it's going to get cold. Should we set up inside? And we were going back and forth. I was pretty much wanting to set up inside. And Frank's like, why? Why inside? Why? People like to be outside. I said, you know what? All right, let's stay outside, Frank. And then it was cold.
Yeah.
So.
But we did it. We got through it.
Oh yeah. We could blame our freezing fingers on Frank there, because I know he was cold too. I looked over him at one time, and I swear he had icicles hanging from his nose.
Well, not everyone did make it through that show, though. That's what's crazy. I mean, you always joke about, oh, we made it through. We had people that started that show in the United States, and by the end of it, I think they were across the border.
They were on their way back across the border.
And that's not a joke, folks. There was this family sitting over to the side, and one of the people at their table had his head down like he was asleep. Well, when the family left the gig, they kind of left this dude there. And I was like, is he not with them? And then this dude's buddy had sat down with him, and he kind of lays his head down, and they stayed passed out for a couple of hours. So Gabe and I go in with Frank and a couple of other dudes, and when we came back outside to play the second half of the set, lo and behold, the bar manager stand there, and we're like, so did the guy get up and leave? And like, he kind of did. A homeboy didn't have his papers. So yeah, we just kind of looked at each other like, did that just happen at one of our shows?
Yeah. We I think it's safe to say and claim the title of last deportation at a gig in 2019.
Yeah.
Or one of the few throughout the year. I don't know. I don't know how many people were deported at live shows last year, but I think it's safe to say we were one of the very few.
You talk about feeling weird starting up the next song, be like, I'd like to dedicate this. You know what? I don't even know what just happened.
Yeah. We should write a song in tribute to the man that was sent home unwillingly.
What's weird is that wasn't the only weird thing that happened that night. So we kept cracking up laughing because it just weird, funny stuff kept happening all throughout the night. And one question you can keep in the back of your mind, because I'm going to throw it as the final zinger later, is the craziest story or funniest thing that's happened to you in your music career. And when I asked RJ last night, he really wanted to tell the story of after that show.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame him.
We decided you could tell it if you wanted.
Of all the things that I've seen in my short time of doing this, that definitely reaches the list of top funniest, craziest things in the night. I mean, I've been kicked out of my own show But I mean, we could save that for later.
Yeah,
and,
definitely. And then just tell the parking lot story now.
Yeah, we were playing the gig over there in the Blue Marlin. And yeah, after freezing and whatnot, and eventually we made the accomplishment of not feeling at a certain point because it was so cold and there was enough alcohol to help change the weather. And well, our road guy, his name's Mike. He has a little nickname Speedy because he's always bouncing around, and whenever there's something that needs doing, I mean, that's why he's our great road guy. And he just always ends up appearing in the van before we hit the road. And whenever we get where we're going, before we can put the thing in park, everything's out of the van and on stage.
Wow.
So this guy is just this friggin' lightning bolt of a human. And he gets super excited. He has a good amount to drink, and I forgot what it was that happened. We were taking a break, and we decided to come kick back in the van.
I think what happened was you had gone back inside for a second, and when the crazy part happened, we were actually ready to go. You'd gotten back, and Speedy's just yelling at RJ through the passenger window.
Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Speedy got so out of it at one point, he asked me earlier in the night, he's like, wait, were you in Motley Crue? And I was like,
oh, yeah.
And
yeah,
so
that's
I'm
right.
like, yep, I am Nikki Six. So later we're in the van and he's yelling at RJ about how important our lives are. And he says, if you ain't with it, you ain't about it. You got to get with the crew like Motley Crue. And he points at me.
That's right. There you go. I remember looking up and I remember now. We were about to take off. I look up and Frank is sitting in the passenger seat laughing so hard because the condensation on the window is allowing him to draw.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
now he's drawing different parts of different things all over the windshield and the window. And then there's a snowman. And of course, the humidity was perfect for him to draw it. And then it disappeared for weeks. And I did not find said snowman until the humidity was perfect again to finally clean it. But yeah, you got to get with the crew like Motley Crue.
We're just sitting there like, he's drawing body parts on what he thinks is Motley Crue's van. This is amazing. And then we're trying to get out of there and he disappears for a second. We're like, okay. And as we are like the van is in motion, we're backing out of the spot and the door flies open and dude just like jumps across Gabe's lap. He's kicking like a wild animal. And we got to throw him back out of the van.
Yeah, I remember looking back and like, whoa. Where'd this go?
But keep in mind, the dumbest thing I did all night was my hotel was like a block away. And I somehow got in this van with y'all. I could have just walked over there.
You could have walked. It was like 2 doors down or whatever. But we proceeded to ride in the quote unquote tour bus.
We kind of went on tour before that show. I mean, the whole night was just weird.
Yeah. The whole night was weird. And it took us to the questionable side of town, let's say that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, guys, here's the liquor store. And, and then you and RJ are like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. I was like, nah, look, the door's right there. And then there were sandbags in front of the door.
And bars in the windows.
And it was locked. Yeah, the windows were barred up. There were sandbags in front of the door from the last time it flooded. I'm assuming Hurricane Harvey. They just haven't moved them.
And somebody's chihuahua's like running towards the van from across the street. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah. The Taco Bell chihuahua was coming after us.
Forgot about that.
And then, I mean, who knows what else? Sirens off in the distance. And I'm just over here listening to the ambient sounds of downtown Corpus, down Leopard.
We were a little out of downtown. To be honest, I don't know where we ended up.
You know what? You're right. I think we were a little more like north side Corpus, maybe like.
When Mufasa told Simba not to go to the shadowy area, I think we were in the shadowy area of Corpus.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Oh, you know that one scene whenever all the hyenas are singing, they're scaring Simba?
Oh, yeah.
That cave or canyon or whatever, that's where we were.
We just went Disney with it. I don't know how that story gets Disneyfied, but it did.
I can mess it up for you real quick, man. I'm
No.
just trying to be on my best behavior.
How do you mess up? How do you mess up something that started off wrong from the beginning? Let's kick off some music here. Do you want to give us some blues?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, this song is called "Blues of the Singing Man."
My baby packed her bags and kicked out the front door. Said, I'm getting on out of here, I can't take your ways no more. All your lying, dirty, rotten, cheating games you play. You swear to me you'll fix it, but always stay the same. I said, I'm sorry that it's come to this, and you've gotta go. So I guess I'll be trying to sing the blues on the radio. Well, now that she's gone, I'm over here on my own, writing, singing, trying to make one-hit single song. Well, if I get lucky, I'll play it when I'm not around. I don't care if it has to wait till I'm 6 feet in the ground. Well, I've had sleepless nights, I cried about it, been broke, but I won't quit. Told my daddy this is hard, he said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Up in Austin, Texas, getting off at 35. Above the gravel parking lot, I see my name in the marquee lights. I'm walking through the front door, a few people say my name. I raise my glass, say to myself, Lord, I'm glad they came. They were hooting, hollering, then they said, you sing our favorite tune. When I asked them what it was, they said, Folsom Prison Blues. A few years down the road, I'm getting nowhere fast. Been doing my best, been singing songs by Hank Merlin, Johnny Cash. I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where I've been. I got bad memories of that woman, so I can't go home again. I've had reopened scars, broken guitars, a broken heart and soul. So I guess I'll keep on trying to sing the blues on the radio.
Nice. So tell me the story behind that song.
Well, Blues of the Singing Man was kind of like it's more of like a, how do I say? Of course, kicking off the song, it shows my baby packed her bags and how she left and whatnot. And the song insinuates that I was a cheating man or whatever, but it was actually the other way around whenever I started doing this whole escapade of music. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, I'm on my own now. So what am I going to be doing? And I just kind of finally had the opportunity to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was like a chance of, it was like a time of self-discovery, I think. And it really let me go back to who I was. And I went back to some friends that I lost connections with and made amends because of how dumb I was being in the past. But yeah, as I found myself again and started becoming who I truly am, I kept moving forward and found that I really love being on stage. I like making people dance and sing and have a good time. I started playing these songs and had a couple good responses, and so I just moved forward with that.
Awesome. So when did you write that song?
That song was written probably like, I'd say about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I've had some prior to that. Yeah, I mean, it's not a very old song. I have quite a few. I wrote one a while back, and I did my first recording with that. It was kind of cringy, but
we've all been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of us still go there.
I mean, you win some, you lose some. I think we can't win them all, and so I mean, I've learned to be very picky. But then some of my buddies are like, no, take it easy, hang on.
Talking about different songs and different ups and downs of the music career, take me through your whole story as a musician. So, like, who were your early influences, and what gave you your start?
I mean, my early influences. I mean, I was born and raised in the '90s, so I mean, I was listening to artists like, of course, Alan Jackson, George Strait, but then others like Joe Diffie.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah, Joe Diffie, Dwight Yoakam. I mean, Dwight Yoakam. I just love the honky tonk sound that him, Joe Diffie, as well as Travis Tritt. The sound of those guys in the '90s, just beautiful music, and I've been one to kind of infatuate myself with a certain style for a while, so it really allowed me to dig into certain sounds and different techniques. Hairstyles, yes.
Shout out RJ Paxton.
Shout out to RJ Paxton, yeah. Like he said in the episode too, how we all made him get a mullet. No. we mildly said, hey RJ, you should grow a mullet, and he did a backflip.
You say jump and he says how high?
Grow a mullet, how long?
Well, I've told him, I said, you act like you didn't want it, but you're going to be sad when it goes.
Oh yeah. I might go up to him in the middle of the night one day and just zip.
So tell me, what kind of got you into the live music scene? So you had your early influences, started writing music. When did you start playing gigs?
Well, it was probably about 5 years ago. I was working in the refineries and doing different construction stuff like that, and I was writing songs on the back of 2x4s or anywhere I could find a good surface to write on.
Wait. Are there buildings in Corpus that have your song lyrics in the foundation?
No.
No,
I cut my songs out of the foundation. So there's a hole.
Okay. So there's holes in people's walls.
Nah. I would usually grab like a piece of scrap wood or something.
Episode 3 is going to feature Corpus Christi attorneys for when your house falls apart.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You need to get like a sponsored lawyer or something like that to fund some of the things that you're going to go out and do. But
we're going to have ambulance chaser ads on this podcast.
We'll host a mobile segment. So I'll go somewhere on site for you and report whatever fell apart. But anyways. So yeah, as I was writing some songs on whatever I could get my hands on at the time, I was offered a job up in New Braunfels, and so I was a pipe fitter, and so I took a job up there in one of their shops, and before I took the job, I thought to myself, well, hey, New Braunfels is smack dab between San Antonio and Austin. Austin being the live music capital of the friggin' world, and there's live music everywhere. Green Hall is right down the street in New Braunfels, and so I took that opportunity just to go up there and study, and just to watch all these different musicians. And I've listened to the radio, listened to music my whole life. Now I'm going to go see it for real. And I had just turned 21 when I moved up there. I just went up there, watched a bunch of different musicians perform, and kind of saw how they carried themselves on stage. And I joined my first band up there with a couple older cats, and they showed me the ropes a little bit, and had my first few gigs around Seguin and whatnot. And
who caught your eye during that time? Because that area is a gold mine for bands.
Who caught my eye?
Yeah.
There was a couple old cats out. They live out in Seguin. Shout out to Larry and Lana. I just went to this bar. It used to be called the Cowboy Cabaret. It was this little beer bar out in the outskirts of Seguin. Now they're called the Double Diamond Bar, but I think it was like every Thursday or every Tuesday, something like that, this band would show up and use their back room with the stage to practice and rehearse. And so I went in there, talked to the bartender, as I would do all the other bars, because the bartenders know the cheese. I'd ask them, "Hey, are there any bands looking for a singer? I mean, I'm trying to do something, see what I can make happen." And she hooked us up.
Nice.
I showed up a few days later for a rehearsal, and they asked me to play them a couple songs, and then they hired me on the spot. And I would play their intermissions at first, play a couple songs. I only knew maybe 5 or 6 songs at the time, and boy did I milk them. But yeah, so I bounced around Seguin, a little bit of Gonzalez with those guys for a little bit, and then I came back home a few months later and came back with my guitar, a microphone, and bought myself a low powered speaker so I can hold my own little show somewhere. And then my first gig here back home was over at the Office Club, which is now Talbot's Tavern over in Annabelle.
Oh, nice. Did you move back to Corpus right about that time, or you just kind of like traveled back?
Yeah, no, I moved back to Corpus probably September of the same year that I went to New Braunfels. I got there February 1st, and I came home about mid-September.
Oh, okay.
And my first gig here at home was January 27th. It was my 22nd birthday whenever I got my first gig at home.
Oh, wow.
And so it went from September all the way to January, and I got my first gig. And I tried to balance the refinery work with playing music. And so it's kind of hard to go and play a show after you've been working 12-hour days with days off for 3 months.
It's hard enough when you've done 7 or 8 hour day. It's like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to sleep.
No kidding. Yeah.
I tell you, coming down to see you guys in Corpus, it's fun. Like it's a little hectic getting there, trying to get there on time. And then it's a blast when I'm there. I'll tell you, man, driving back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
And we don't exactly have a light, just laid back time when we're there either. So it's always, I don't know. I'm just exhausted by the time I get back to Temple.
Yeah. I'm exhausted sometimes coming back from Port A. I'm only about 45 minutes away, and I'm wiped out.
My bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, loading up all the gear and whatnot, and then still coming home afterwards, you just, man.
So what year did you go back to Corpus?
It had to have been 16. It was 2016 when that happened. And so, yeah, so it's been about 4 years whenever I really started pursuing it.
So you moved back to Corpus, and lo and behold, 1 year later, we find ourselves at the story RJ told, or that RJ and I both told last night about Exec Surf Club, because the night that he pitched the song Hey Girl to me is the same night that he introduced me to you. And so that had been right about a year after you ended up back in Corpus. So time flies.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no kidding. And that's because early 2016, a few months after I had just moved to New Braunfels, RJ had reached out to me, and we were kind of already buddies. We were kind of friends, but it took me leaving town, and then he calls me up, and I guess he saw some of the posts I was making on the social media, and he started pitching me that song, Hey Girl. And he was kind of playing it over the phone, and he said a couple of things, and I was writing the lyrics down as I was listening, and he said something else, and I thought he said something. I thought he said whatever. There's a Hey Girl, let's plant some roots, don't matter pink or blue. He said something completely different, but that's what I thought I heard. And so as I was singing it back to him, he was like, "Whoa, what was that? Oh, this. Is that what you said?" No, but I like that way better. I like that way more than what I said.
So he could give you credit as a songwriter with an asterisk, like maybe.
Yeah, if I decided to be that guy, I could fight him for it. But nah, I don't want.
Once again, next week, if you need a lawyer, we will have anyone that wants to sue Gabe Fidel for rights.
Yeah, or for false accusations. Not false claims.
False
for
claims.
Making false claims to something. Yeah. No. But no, Hey Girl's been it's been in the works a while, and
it really has. We actually played it at the end of the episode last night.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was listening to it earlier, and it's pretty cool now to see it, to hear it finally.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to hear it, and he did it a while. It's been he recorded that a while back. I remember going into the studio with him just to go kick back and drink beer and watch him, because he couldn't drink beer at the time whenever he was recording. The owner of the studio, they didn't want any alcohol inside the studio, so I would walk out to my truck and go ahead.
Gee,
and
what could go wrong?
Yeah. It's the short walk. I'm not driving.
Well, so speaking of songs, tell me about this next one, Little White Lines.
Yeah, Little White Lines is it's like a story of a little bit of what's going on now, and then a little bit of what I hope for and what I dream for in the future. And my biggest thing is I just want to hear people sing. I think a lot of people can feel this. Is I think one of the greatest feelings, aside from watching people enjoy the night, dancing and all that good stuff, is hearing people sing back the words to your own music. I feel like that's super, super touching. That's kind of one of my biggest dreams. I mean, sure, the trucks and fancy cars and all that stuff that's all cool, but my biggest thing is I want to see people singing my music. I want my music to affect somebody in a positive way, I guess.
Absolutely. And creating something relatable too, because it's like, if it's from a story out of your life and then suddenly somebody you can tell it's really hitting them too, it's like, wow, we just related through the song. That's a really cool moment.
Yeah, I like that too. I have another song called My Dog, and a lot of people really enjoy that.
All right, so this is Little White Lines.
Whistle blows, it's 5:30, I gotta hit the road. Gotta call the guys, where are we gonna go, boys? Oh, I don't know. It's been a hard living, singing this tune, Lord knows it's been worth it. I'll sing it for you, no, I'm never gonna stop picking this guitar. We filled up the tank, we loaded down, we're running late. We gotta leave town, no, I never thought I'd be in this place. And oh, when we sing, and oh, when we sing. Lights come up, we plug on in, playing melodies that come from within. Yeah, we got 'em all dancing with a big old grin. Boots and sundresses out on the floor, spinning round and round. They're begging for more, and I'm gonna give it to 'em right after this song. And oh, and we sing, and oh, and we sing. Miles and miles into the deep unknown, little white lines showing where to go. I'll just rest my eyes till we get there. In my dreams there's big bright lights and people singing the songs I write. I just smile with a tear rolling down my face. We sing, and oh, and we sing.
So tell me about your studio process. Like, what does recording look like for you?
Actually, I was really hoping for some studio time this summer, but I mean, given the current state of events, I'm not sure what that's going to be like. I have been to the studio in the past, but that was for a couple old songs in a previous band that I was running, and it just didn't quite work out the way I needed it to.
Yeah.
And so I kind of scrapped all that stuff. Of course, I still have my archives. I still have stuff that I obviously paid for, but it was just the wrong investment at that time. I felt like I wasn't prepared enough as a musician to be hitting the studio at that point, and so the track suffered because of my lack of preparation. But
I had no idea what I was doing at first either. I mean, I think we all kind of go through that little hump.
Oh yeah, every now and then. Oh man, I can bring him up. My uncle Paul. We lost him recently, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
He thanks, man. But he used to text me every so often. Even a couple of my buddies too. They would text me and be like, "Hey, we're jamming your song," and because I have it uploaded on YouTube, and I've been wanting to pull it down, but I just haven't done it. And they're always, "Yeah, we're jamming your song, man. We love it." And I go back and listen to it, and I just want to cry. Not really cry, but you know what I mean. I'm just like, all that money. So,
nothing is cheap in the music world. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
You can't record a song on a kazoo for less than what feels like $1 million at a time.
Yeah, no kidding. If I can, yeah, I'm like right now. I've been really focusing on writing new material, and I'm very picky with my. I'm very picky with what I want to put onto like an EP or a EPK or whatever we do. I'm thinking about maybe doing release a single, maybe 2 singles before an EP or something like that. I have the material down now. I just now I'm waiting for this virus to go away, and then we can hit the studio.
I feel your pain on that. It's
yeah,
because, and I think everybody is, and I feel really bad for the studios right now because for musicians we can at least do live streams. There's virtual tip jars. A lot of us have other jobs that we're doing, but the studios, man, they're taking a hit. And I really I hope it doesn't take much longer to open stuff back up because they need the business. A lot of people need business. And let's see, I had 1 session left out of 3 to finish up the vocal do-overs on this 2-volume album collection I'm doing. And I was going to be done this weekend, and that was that. And now I have no idea.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot of people getting hit hard by this.
Well, I'm looking forward, though, to hearing yours because I'm sure once this all clears up and you get in there, there's going to be a lot of good music. And speaking of good music, which of your songs mean the most to you? Which ones have the best backstories? Yeah,
that's a tough one just because like I said earlier, I'm real picky with what I mean, I have plenty of stuff I've written, and but then I'm real picky with what I present to people. But I guess I'd say it's which one means the most to me. It'd have to be Little White Lines, like it's kind of like a here and now with kind of what's going on, and then in the last verse it goes, in my dreams I see big bright lights of people singing the songs I write, and I smile with a tear running down my face. And these are dreams I actually have, and I feel like that song can really dig in deep in myself. That song I did write that one for me because I had that feeling one day. The words were just kind of spilling out one night. I think I wrote the whole thing in about an hour. Or 45 minutes or something like that. And on top of that, I kind of had the feeling of that song, but our keyboard player, Chris, came by, and he came over and said, "Hey man, listen to this chord progression I'm playing with." And it shows is a real cool with a major minor transition. It was really cool. And then we just started digging around with it, and then I started feeling the ooh and when we sing, that kind of thing. And that was it. Boom. After that, we called it a night. He went home, and I wrote that song that same evening. Just by hearing the proper key and chord progression, it just fell right on out onto the paper.
You know, I was talking to RJ last night about this. Sometimes, whether it's you write the perfect song in a short amount of time, or sometimes it just kind of comes to you. It's crazy how sometimes you can formulate a song for months before it finally hits. But it's crazy how sometimes it's like that. It just happens. It just happens on paper or happens right there in the moment.
Oh yeah, I haven't. Yeah, my dog. That one took forever to write. And it's such a simple song.
Yeah,
and I love my dog.
I've heard that song.
My
it's
friend,
a good one.
I like my girl. Thanks, man. I remember playing that song at one of the local restaurants here, and I think there was a field trip, and there was a bunch of kids everywhere. And at the end of the song, all the kids got together. They just started howling like dogs. And so now a couple of my buddies or anybody in the crowd that I've told the story, they've heard me tell the story in the past. When the song's over, I'll look around and I'll see a couple chins go up and
we definitely did that at Blue Marlin for you.
Yeah, it did happen, right? And you have a video of that night.
Yeah, there's one on YouTube. I don't know if it's got us howling, but it definitely has a bunch of other stuff in that circus that made it. I will say this to anyone listening: Gabe has the kind of songwriting skills, in my opinion, that, in my experience, I've gone to hear his shows. I've listened to him play, and I'll think he's covering something. I'm like, I feel like I've heard the song, or like this sounds like a really good song that would be on the charts. And I'll look at Frank or RJ or somebody and be like, what's this song called? You know, who does this song? They're like, no, this is one of his, dude. And I'm like, well, cool. I like it.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Yeah, I like to hear that. I like to see whenever people just enjoy something that because like it's us as songwriters, and I mean you get the feeling. You put something out on paper, you're opening up a side of yourself that's a very soft side, really. I tell this to a lot of people. Like, sometimes we'll be joking around with somebody and they'll say, "Yeah, you're weird." I'm like, "Well, yeah, there's definitely something wrong with me if I'm going to stand up in front of a bunch of complete strangers and expose the most sensitive side of my being in form of song." Like,
no songwriter who's serious about it is normal. It's just a fact.
Oh yeah.
Find me one professional songwriter who's normal, and I'll find a liar.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember RJ was going to introduce me to Stephen James, and
I really need the Stephen soundbite. We made it 40 minutes, but here it is.
Oh, before we said Stephen James. Yeah. I remember he was going to introduce us. He was shooting his music video for Dance With Me Tonight, and they needed bodies. And so we went in there, me and my fiance, Erica. We went in there and kind of sat in and danced around a little bit for the video. And he even told me, too, he goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I mean, this is the guy." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know his music, blah, 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 whatever." And he goes, "I just want to let you know, he's kind of weird." And I was like, "What do you mean he's weird?" He said, "Look at me, look at you. We're freaking weird. We'll be fine. Let's go." Like, and look at him now. He's got a mullet that I told him to grow. But yeah, no, we got there and had a good old time. And the next thing you know, a couple hours later, we're at a bar. And, of course, it's what we do. And yeah, the weirdness was just so welcoming. I loved it. Yeah, I feel like music is a good industry for all of us weirdos to fall into.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of have to. If we were all at each other's throats, it would not be half as fun. Like, it's much more fun to be in good company with weirdos.
Yeah, I've heard Joe Rogan say in the past. I was listening to something he said that the dynamic has changed so much because of social media. It used to be super competitive in the way of you would see someone successful and be so bitter and angry, and it's either going to be me or him kind of thing. Yeah. Now I feel like there's so much more camaraderie. There's so much more friendship and just good vibes going around, wishing the best for each other because of social media. There's there's enough love to go around. It's not just limited by the amount of spaces in a booking calendar. I think it's such a blessing to live in this time, because it's everything is a touch.
And ladies and gentlemen, his phone cut out, but here he is back again. Sorry for that brief pause.
I don't know what happened, man. I was so excited, and then my phone beeped at me, and I was just like, how dare he?
2020 happened. Everything's weird.
2020 did happen.
But I like what you said, though, because it's social media, for as negative of a tone as a lot of it takes, especially Twitter, the more unconventional the app, so like YouTube comments are where grammar goes out the window. Twitter, I always call it a useful cesspool, because anyone will feel big and bad behind a keyboard or a phone screen. And, it's like if the president of the United States walked into the room 10 years ago, 12 years ago, however long, whether you liked that person or not, you would still be like, whoa, cool, it's the president. Now it's like every high school kid's like, Trump, it's weird, the things that people tweet directly. No, I mean, you can criticize whoever you want, but the things people tweet directly to celebrities, as if that celebrity has time for you, or to political figures, it's ridiculous. Most of them don't even run their own Twitter account. And I think music is a good example of, at least on our scene, here in the Texas music scene, a lot of people lift each other up. There's a lot of camaraderie. Everybody wants to see each other succeed. And I think one of those last times we were all at Exec Surf Club, I don't know if you were with us that time or not. Rich was in town playing a show with Steven. Rich O'Toole told us, he said, this market down here, it's so oversaturated that there's so many more artists now than there used to be, that eventually it could be kind of an issue with everyone trying to get gigs at the same time. And I already agreed with that statement then, but I'm starting to think, a lot of people need to form supergroups. Like, imagine, I have never been to a Co-Wetzel or Parker McCollum Fest or whatever these things are, but if those two guys, and Colby Cooper, Reed Southall, Chris Colson, all those guys that are heavy on the Texas music picker rotation, just formed one band and toured together, it would almost be like old rock bands where you knew who each member was. Because how many famous bands out there can you name all the members? Because you look at Turnpike, when Evan Felker's Issues kicked up, how many of the other members of Turnpike could you name? And it's kind of like, that people used to pay attention to the whole band. And I think Ragweed was probably the last band where all the members had a name, even though Cody Canado was the big name, because of A, what they called their band, and B, just the time period. People knew who Randy Ragsdale and Grady Cross and Jeremy Plato were. And so now that Cross, Rags, and Young is formed, I think that's one of the only recent bands we have where you know who's in the band. And so I think if more artists team together, people who have similar interests and similar ambitions, I think we could kind of not oversaturate the scene and probably build on each other's fan bases a lot more often.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot that can be accomplished whenever people like team up, and which is why like you say a lot. Like Steven always talks to us, or we all have been around to open up a show for Steven. Yeah, and I feel like our little group, it keeps all of us busy, keeps all of us tight, and we're always talking to each other, and we're all real good friends, and so that alone right there, and kind of people that are there to see Steven, we get to meet, and then they get to see us, and maybe they come to our show, and then maybe whenever me and you play together, kind of our fan bases mix, and
even band members kind of cross over at times. Because I know that the recent show I did down in Port A, I had Wayne Maroney on guitar and Tristan Richards on the drums, and those two guys were in Stephen James and the Jaded, and that's how I met them. It's we actually almost played one of Steven's songs, and I told him, I said, I don't want to completely piggyback off this networking thing, but this would look like the Cody Canada and the Departed version of the Jaded. It's like, what are they doing?
That'd have been cool, though. That'd have been cool. I would have recorded it and sent it to him. I would have asked him, you mean shut this stuff down? What's that scene from Step Brothers with you may shut this stuff down, D-Dog?
Catalina Wine
Mixer. Yeah.
So, again, tune in next week for Ambulance Chasers and Music Lawyers to come sue me and Gabe.
I remember hearing you say in episode 1, this was AJ's idea. So just leave him to pick it.
So that's what, the third, fourth person that's going to sue us here in a minute.
This is all his idea.
Yeah, it's his idea.
This is on him.
Well, I keep telling AJ, he has a song called Rodeo, and I have a song called Rodeo, and they came out about the same time. They don't sound alike. So when does Garth Brooks gonna sue us? Because that dude's rich enough to probably own all sorts of rights, and then we can get TMZ to cover it.
Yeah, or sue us too.
There you go. Well, before we get too illegal here, you mentioned how one of your stories was kind of going into your dream and what you've got planned for music. So tell us real briefly, what do you have planned for after the Corona apocalypse, and what is the dream you work towards, and where will we be able to find this music that you're going to be posting? Will it be on Spotify, iTunes? Where can people follow you?
Right now, it's just mainly on Instagram and Facebook. We have our band page and stuff like that. Here in the near future, after all this pandemic simmers down, I'm going to be trying to hit to the studio full force and get some good quality material out to all the listeners. And I've been having people message us on the band page, and people ask me in person at the show, and they asking, "Where's your music? Where's your music?" I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just, how it goes. One thing comes up, and you're ready to go, and then another thing gets in the way. And
wait, musicians experience hiccups? No.
Yeah, believe it or not, man.
Well,
I thought it was going to be easy.
What's unfortunate is that we all kind of did at one point, and then we actually got involved.
Yeah.
So that's the Back Pew Revival for anyone that wants to search that. And you've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Can they follow you on Twitter?
No, right now, unfortunately, we're not on Twitter, but I will be branching onto other forms of social media.
Cool.
And so it's just right now, my biggest thing is the lack of content that I have to offer. Yeah. Right now, we have live videos and we have photos, stuff like that, but I really want there to be something for viewers to see. I don't want to open up an empty shell and it just be boring and lame.
It's going to be Pandora's box when you do open it, though. It's going to be great. Before we play the last song, I feel like I need to ask, how did Back Pew Revival get its name? So instead of being the Gabriel Fidel band, how did we get Back Pew Revival?
It actually goes out, the credit goes out to a mutual friend of mine and RJ. His name is Logan. He works oil field, so he has a lot of time driving to and from different locations he works on. And he was about to go out one night with his foreman, and it was a Saturday night. They were going to go out drinking and whatnot, and so they said, "Hey, you are very well aware that no matter how much we drink tonight, we still got to take our ass to church tomorrow morning." And so the whole joke was, we'll be hungover, but we're going to sit in the back. We'll sit in the back pew, and then it just became a revival sort of deal.
Wow.
And so he actually called RJ and said, "Hey, call Gabe, tell him he needs to make this name in his next band. And he needs to name his next band the Back Pew Revival." And at first I was like, "Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll think about it." Because I was like, man, I want something to be like Gabriel Fidel and the two syllables right here kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like The Jaded or anything. Like The Jaded, it sounded so great. And I was like, yeah, the Gabriel Fidel band, I feel like everybody has that. And then somebody, and then how you were saying too, I think me and you talked about this, is not very many bands are known anymore. It's always the frontman.
Yeah.
And, which, I get it. But, Tyler Childers and the Food Stamps, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you heard about that one.
I've heard a lot of different Tyler Childers things. I actually almost called my band Garrett Smith in the health department. And the reason for that was I got tired of bar managers not calling me back. So I thought, I bet if they left a message that said Garrett Smith in the health department, they'd call me back.
Oh, man. That'd be great.
Of course, now that I spilled the beans, that jig's up. But it's still on the table.
Yeah. There's other departments you can be.
Pandemic prevention in the future. Nobody will turn that call down either.
There we are. But yeah, no, that's where we got the name from, man. And I asked her, "Hey, do you need anything today?" He goes, "Nope. Just if anybody ever asks you, tell them Logan made it."
Way to go, Logan.
Will do, buddy.
So I gotta ask, has anybody actually tried to book y'all for like church services or church camps? Because if you look at that name, you might think, oh, okay, it's a Christian band.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have been asked, like, oh, y'all a Christian band? I was like, no, no, we're not. But
I'm not saying
saying
they're not Christians. I'm just saying that's not their genre.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's not our forte when it comes to genre. But yeah, no. I got a member of my church that I go to reached out and said, hey, we're holding I think it was like a fall festival last year or something like that, and we're hoping to have some musicians donate their time. I said, you know what? I'll gladly donate an hour, no problem. I mean, for everything they do for the church community and the different people around town. I mean, what's an hour? I could totally do that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I go and I donate my time. I said, I'll talk to the guys and see if they're available to do it. And it was kind of a last minute kind of thing. So unfortunately they were already busy. They had other things to attend to. But yeah, no, I did go and perform for about an hour at this little festival they were having to raise more money for the school that they run and for the different mission trips that the different people in the congregation go on.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, anytime I have an opportunity to get back a little bit, I mean, whenever we are gigging, we stay fairly busy. So I mean, that's a blessing in itself. So if somebody needs anything and I can give back to somebody else, I mean, yeah, there's no reason why not to.
Well, that's great, because the thing about bands and being a musician, if you only do it for the money, there's no satisfaction no matter how far you make it. And that's why a lot of times guys like us will put a band together and there's always at least one, maybe two guys that they're only there for the money. And what's ironic is when they act like that's them being professional, those are always the guys that are the least prepared and have the least fun doing it. The guys who are doing it because they love music, they have the most fun with it. And you've got to give back at some point. I mean, not every gig's going to pay well anyway. So if you can help somebody, that's how I met RJ, and I met you through RJ because I met RJ playing a hurricane relief show with Steven. So sometimes it kind of builds your network a little bit too.
Oh yeah. And I mean, cause there's a couple spots whenever we go and play in different places that, like you said, yeah, not every gig is going to be the best paying gig, but I mean, every now and then you get that one client like, oh good, it's that time of the month or it's that time of the rotation. We get to go back to this venue, and it's a good paying night. And so at the same time of it being a passion, it is a business. I keep my expenses and I keep track of all that stuff for taxes and whatnot, and make sure the guys are taken care of. That's my biggest thing. If you have a private party or whatever, pay my band.
Yeah,
I'll make mine somewhere else or whatever. Take care of my guys, because I know as long as they're taken care of, whenever I need them, they'll be there. And as long as they're happy, I got them. So yeah, so sometimes whenever we get to play these really good gigs, I'll keep that into consideration. Be like, okay, well, this is what we're used to doing, and we went a little over. We made a little more. Cool, we did really well this month or this quarter or whatever the measurement is. Some of that excess profit, let's go play a free show, or let's go do this. Hey, look, there's a benefit down the street. Let's go sit in. I try to balance out because I don't ever want to fall victim of watching things come in super well and then become the guy that's all about the money.
Yeah.
Because I used to have in my first band when I came back home, I had a bass player. His name was Corky Flowers. Really cool guy. He's been all around the world playing for a bunch of these big names back in the 80s, 90s. And he's played with a bunch of stars, and he showed me his music room, and he's there arm in arm taking pictures of all the different bands he played in. And ask RJ, he'll tell you some stories. That man's crazy. He told me he was sitting in the bus one time with Willie Nelson, and Willie Nelson told him, he said, the second you start doing this for money is the second God walks out the door.
Wow.
Whenever he told me that, I took that to heart. I mean, the money's nice, sure. You always bid for the best you can get, but I mean, sometimes you can't always get every penny. You take what you can get as long as you can survive on it.
It's the right attitude to have.
Oh yeah.
I know I promised everybody about 10 minutes ago that we were going to have music, and we will. But first, I just want to ask the big three questions. So first, If you could collaborate with anyone out there, who would it be?
Collaborate with anybody out there that's out there right now?
Yeah.
That's tough.
On the off chance that they hear this.
I'd have to say Tyler Childers.
Cool.
Yeah, I had to say Tyler Childers. I like that folky bluegrass mountain music. I really dig that. I've been getting into that a lot recently.
Well, you covered, what was the song you covered at Blue Marlin? It was the Pray For Me song?
Oh, yeah, that one's called Purgatory. That's
Purgatory, yeah.
Sounding. Yeah.
And
great song. I love that one.
You'll probably never hear this at any other gig y'all go to. We started Gabe started playing that rhythm. I didn't know what he was doing. He goes, check it out, name a song, any song. And just to mess with him, I'm like, Straight Outta Compton. And this guy starts singing Straight Outta Compton to the tune of Purgatory by Tyler Childers, turns it into Straight Outta Corpus, and makes a whole thing out of it. It was brilliant. That's if you're listening to this podcast off YouTube, once you click out, you can actually go find a video of that. Probably pretty recently in the video section.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a few whiskeys down the line. What is it? Straight Outta Corpus, crazy, blah 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 blah, named Garrett or something like that.
Something to that effect. So, question number 2: if your band could headline any venue, where would you go?
Well, I know I would like to personally. I would like to go play at the historic Green Hall there in, around New Braunfels. A lot of different acts have played there. George Strait got his start there, and huge names have gone through Green Hall. And I'd like to go play on the Grand Ole Opry. I'd like to go be there and see that. I was talking to my drummer earlier, Matt Maldonado. I was talking to him, and he said he wants to go. He said it'd be super surreal to get to play like an iHeartRadio festival or Coachella or
Tortuga
even like a talk
Fest.
Show band.
That'd be awesome.
Tortuga Fest, yeah. And he said like a game show, like a talk show. He said Jimmy Fallon, and so I went ahead and just made that his official answer. Matt wants to play on Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I'm still crossing my fingers for Firefest 2021.
I think we're doing here in Rockport, Little Bay Labor Day. There's that festival that they have coming up. We did a Battle of the Bands last year.
Cool.
We actually, the dates just so happened to line up. I was like, oh, perfect. Look at this. You want to go do this, guys? And so we signed up, and we took home a win.
That's awesome.
There were a couple categories, and we took home a win, and so we got a slot for that Little Bay Labor Day. Maybe Labor Day weekend up there in Rockport, assuming all this clears up. But at least we know we have that to look forward to.
Tell me the funniest or craziest story you could possibly tell from your music career so far. And remember, episode 3 will be the lawyers.
Well, back whenever I was living in New Braunfels, I got called to go audition for a bar in Cibolo between San Antonio and New Braunfels. A buddy of mine was playing over there, and I think they were sponsored by Lone Star or something like that, and they were going to try to get me to meet their reps and whatnot. And I was really going to audition to try to get myself a gig and maybe land somebody. Maybe, you know how it goes. Hopefully the right person's there. And so there I am going with my buddies, getting ready to go head that way. And at the time, I realized once we got there, my buddy wasn't 21 yet. And so we devised a plan. Say, hey, look, this is an old bar. They don't have central air here. It's you know how it is up there in Centex. Sometimes them old bars, they have that real rustic vibe. And so, yeah, they don't have central air here. All the windows are open. So I said, here, I'm going to go in, give the bouncer my ID. I'm going to get in the bar and leave my ID on the windowsill. Wait 10 minutes because it's busy. There's a lot of people going through. Wait 10 minutes and then hit the door. Use my ID. We'll be fine. I go in, place my ID on the windowsill just like the plan. And I'm at the bar ordering a drink, playing it cool. And it's not even 3 minutes later, I have a hand on my shoulder dragging me out the front door. And I'm just, I couldn't even ask for a cherry. I have a hand on my shoulder. I'm getting dragged out the front door.
And it wasn't by a woman who wanted to pick you up at the bar.
No. It was by a man who did not want to pick me up at a bar. He didn't want to pick me up either. He was taking me outside. I was like, whoa. And I shook him off and I was like, what is going on? What are you doing? He goes, you're getting out of here. And so I hit him with, you know who I am? knowing very well that I was nobody. You know who I am?
Nope.
He hit me with this. It doesn't matter. He goes, it doesn't matter. And proceeded to grab me by my nicely pressed Stetson shirt and threw me out the front door. And
the point of the story, folks, is be sure you're following Back Pew Revival on social media so you'll know who he is when he comes in the bar.
Yeah. No, I didn't even have a freaking social media for any music at the time. This is the very beginning. Oh, man. You know who I am? And I knew very well he didn't know. Nobody knew. I didn't even know.
Well, we know now.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I go outside, finally make it back to the street, and I look around, and my buddy's sitting there on the sidewalk waiting for me. And then we proceed to go out and just call it drinking, go out drinking for the rest of the night.
Well, folks, as I'm about to put my hand on Gabe's shoulder and throw him out the front door, I just want to thank him for coming on. Thanks for being a part of this, for sure. And everybody follow Back Pew Revival and definitely try to catch one of those shows as soon as we're out of quarantine. And to close things out, this is Living the Dream.
Close your eyes, let's take it slow. Take the world